Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Rock Video Rental. I am Brandon, and with me, as always, is Caleb. And we're going to be talking about D3, the Mighty Ducks. We're also going to have a special guest, our friend Jason, coming back to watch the rest of the trilogy. But before we get to all that, we're going to do like we always do. And Caleb, what have you been watching?
Um, well, Bob's Burgers mostly. College football, NFL. Um, catch some stuff that my wife is watching sometimes. Have you ever seen I think it's called like Dr. Pimple Popper?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never seen it, but I know what it is.
yeah, it's gross. I don't really get into that stuff. I find it so weird that they have things for that, but go for it, I guess. Did I talk to you about the new video game? Did I bring that up? Was that this last week or
I don't remember.
okay? Um, well, there's a new game that came out, 40K Warhammer Space Marines 2.
Oh, yeah, I think you were talking about
I did
that.
talk about it. Okay, yeah. So I'm playing that, having a good time with it. If I didn't say it last time, I'm not gonna like go in depth about it. But if I didn't say it last time, like if you grew up during the age of like Halo 2 and Gears of War and stuff like that, I'm not the only one who's been saying this and thinking this, but it's kind of like it feels very much like a throwback
Okay.
to when games were like that. So, yeah, it's just been a lot of fun. That's kind of all I'll say with that because we're mostly about movies, not games. So, what about you though?
Rock? I've watched a fair share of stuff. Been watching Family Matters. My daughter's like super into it, so I've been watching that. I watched a handful of movies. Some of these I don't remember if I mentioned them last week. It's just been like that lately. I watched Maxine. It's a horror movie that just came out like this past
Isn't that part of a
year.
series?
Yeah, it's like it started off with X and then they had Pearl. I watched part of X and I really couldn't get into it, but
Okay.
I watched Maxine and that was pretty good. Had some good gore in it and like acting's pretty good. I watched Friday the 13th Part 3 because last Friday was Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
And Part 3 is my favorite one, so I figured I'd watch it again. I watched the movie Willard. This is one of them I can't remember if I talked about it last week. Um, uh, 70s, yeah, early 70s horror movie with like this dude who's kind of like an outcast, and then he like befriends a rat. Then he like gets more rats and more rats and more rats, and then he like sends them to do like his evil bidding.
Oh yeah. I don't think
Yeah.
I saw it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a little slow, but it was good. I watched a shot on video horror movie from the late 80s called Video Violence. And that was like almost awesomely bad. So that was pretty enjoyable. There is a second one, so I might have to watch that now. And I watched a movie called The Majorettes. It's another horror movie. It was the second time I watched that. The first time, like, I must have misremembered it because I enjoyed it more the second time.
Hmm.
But yeah. And other than that, I've been going back and watching the old Cinemassacre Monster Madness that James Rolfe, probably best known as Angry Video Game Nerd, used to put out like every October. So I usually do that every year, and it's just kind of fun to go back and watch those. But that is it for me. But I did watch Mighty Ducks 3, and yeah, we'll see if it's still my least favorite of the trilogy. D3 The Mighty Ducks is from 1996 and is directed by Robert Lieberman. The plot: the unruly team of hockey misfits grows up a bit and receives scholarships to a prestigious prep school where they take on the snotty varsity team. The cast is pretty massive. But we got Joshua Jackson as Charlie, Emilio Estevez as Gordon Bombay, Jeffrey Nordling as Coach Orion, David Selby as Dean Buckley, Heidi Kling as Casey Conway, Joss Ackland as Hans, Eldon Henson as Fulton Reed, Sean Weiss as Goldberg, Vincent LaRusso as Adam Banks, Matt Doherty as Averman, Garrett Ratliff Henson as Guy, Marguerite Monroe as Connie, Ty O'Neill as Dwayne, Mike Vitar as Luis, and Keenan Thompson as Russ. There's some more in there, but man, that was enough.
Yeah, it's quite a few.
I'd have to say that we have our friend Jason here with us because he's done the other two movies with us, so
Might
you
as
gotta
well,
you
right?
gotta
Might as well
finish
do
it
the
out.
third.
Yeah, may as well put you through the gauntlet and have you do the save the best one for last, right?
Right?
Oh
Exactly.
yeah. Uh yeah, I've seen this movie countless times, and I
Hmm.
always remember it being my least favorite of the bunch. And
Yeah.
yeah, still the least favorite of the bunch.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to follow up though. The first one's an all-time classic. The second one I watched so many times as a kid that I've got like nostalgic connections with
Yeah.
it.
I think with the third one, they're trying to get a little more serious about like this whole growing up thing. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's fine, but like you could definitely tell there's a different tone throughout the whole thing. It's less like fun and just playing hockey and just trying to win a game or whatever, tournament.
Yeah, and you can tell that like maybe some of the characters didn't want to be in this movie
It was,
because some of
yeah.
them just disappeared, and then like Gordon only has like a cup of coffee
Hmm.
and then takes off.
Yeah, it's like shows up at the end and a few scenes here or there, but I mean there was a lot like compared to the other two, there was a lot less hockey in this actual movie.
Yeah,
There
that's
was
why I
actually
had
like
down.
one game and then the varsity game, actually three games, I guess, and then the final varsity game, but yeah,
Yeah,
it
the
was a lot less.
varsity challenge thing where they played when they weren't supposed to, and then the actual game against the varsity. Yeah, it that was one thing that I had down too, where it's just like, I mean, besides all the other stuff going on, the
Sure.
lack of actual hockey play in this one was not doing it any favors.
Yeah, I like I said, I think they were trying to tell too much, like not necessarily try to tell too much of a story, but like there was that was more the focus than anything. This JV versus varsity growing up,
I
kind of thing.
I actually got annoyed with how much pranking was going on. Like
Yeah, it was a little
It
too
didn't feel
much.
like it was that much, but it was a lot of focus on it for a little bit in the movie. Yeah.
um I don't know what I was expecting. Like if I was frustrated, like just show more hockey or what, but eventually it was just like, dude, this is like never ending. This is getting ridiculous. Like,
Yeah, there was not much. I mean, there's a little bit of the street hockey and stuff, and that's about it. But I mean, Charlie's insufferable in this movie. It's so bad.
oh man.
Just like his teen
Yeah,
angst
he's kind of a turd.
is so bad. What do you
Yeah.
mean
Yeah, and then he just wants everybody to like
you're gonna go
feel the
manage
same way he
all?
does.
Yeah. Oh, I know it's so bad.
Yeah,
I have so many gripes with this movie.
that was something I had down too, was the Charlie character. I mean, he's always kind of been one where you could love him or hate him really,
Hmm.
but I really feel like this one it's just like, dude, like not everybody's going to do what you want them to. Like first of all, he was getting mad at Gordon for taking a job, and
That's like the
then
head of like all of the, like all of the young kids, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then
What do you mean you're not gonna be here for me?
he gets mad about the guy making varsity or whatever, and then he gets mad about like um
He's not a captain.
the the other players not quitting with him, and then he got mad when crap, which Fulton when Fulton was
Oh,
saying
wait,
like,
is gonna go back? Yeah.
yeah, hockey's
Yeah.
not life and whatever and everything for him, and it was just, it was
It
really
makes him
insufferable.
insufferable. Yeah. When he's all mad, like I love that there's a moment in there though, like that he's talking about his C, because he's like always been the captain, and like the team expected him to be captain, right? But obviously it's supposed to be about like his journey being, like going through some grown up stuff. But like I love that when he goes to see Hans, and like Hans just messes with him the whole time. He's like, "Here, I have lots of these," and like throws a bunch of C's at him.
Basically, to start tells Charlie to stop being a little bitch.
Yeah, in a
Got lots
very
of
PC
letters you
way.
can just take. It's fine. Here,
Uh,
it means nothing.
Yeah,
I was happy to see Hans back.
Yeah, even though he died.
yeah, very
For
briefly.
5 minutes and then he
Just
died.
randomly, he's like gives that smirk, and then like, oh, next scene, he's dead. It was
Yeah,
his time to go. I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
I never understood that because
was he sick and they just never
he's
told
like, "Are you all
anyone?
right?" And he just like smiles and shakes his finger at him, and then it's like, boom, dead.
Yeah,
He's like,
the
"Well, I'm having a heart attack right now, Charlie. Like, could you please leave?"
I mean, the only real purpose of his character was for Bombay to come back for his funeral.
Yeah,
Like it
Yeah, I
was
mean, it was to give that like a little bit of reflection to Charlie, and then like, yeah, and then like, oh well, now Hans is dead, and we all need to reunite, kind of thing.
Hans's random death wasn't as good as his death in Lethal Weapon 2. It's just been revoked.
Was that his?
Yeah, that was him.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he was the bad guy in Lethal Weapon 2. Um, yeah, I mean, other than like Hans being a good part of it because it was just nice to see him back.
hmm
It was nice that they brought back Charlie's mom too, because she
Oh
just kind of
yeah, because she
vanished in
wasn't
the
in the
second
other
one,
one.
and she was like one
Yeah,
of the main characters in the first one.
yeah, and he like hooks up with like the teacher in the second one, and now all of a sudden he's like, oh, back to. Well, actually, he didn't really reconnect with her, but
Yeah,
with the mom, it seemed like, but still.
they just kind of like shared a glance at each other during Hans's funeral, and it was it.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, you know what they say, like girls at funerals are what is it, susceptible or impressionable?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Will Ferrell and Wedding Crashers.
Oh yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
he's always
Yeah,
picking up girls at
forget
funerals.
weddings. I go to funerals. Well, one thing that I thought was kind of funny in this and probably never really picked up on as a kid, but I found it a little bit annoying just because of the, I don't know what you want to call it, maybe lack of development of it,
hmm
is Charlie's like quick turnaround and then an instant like bond with Coach Orion.
Right. Yeah.
Like there was no development. Like uh
No, it was pretty sudden for sure.
Gordon comes back and then he shows Charlie like, hey, this guy's not a bum like you think he is. Like this is why he's, didn't make it in the pros because he wanted to support his daughter who was in the
hmm
hospital and things like that. And then all of a sudden Charlie's like, oh, that changes everything. But that that's not problematic. The problem was as soon as Charlie went back to Coach Orion, all of a sudden everybody was just buddy buddy. Like,
Well, and then Coach Orion completely changes.
Yeah.
yeah.
He does that thing. He starts doing
Now
Gordon
the
Bombay
garbage
stuff where he's like,
thing.
"Oh, we got to clean up the trash," and he dumps garbage on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, and I mean, like, obviously, there's so many like terrible hockey rules that are like broken in this, like
Oh
this
yeah,
movie. But like watching them like trip the goalie and stuff in front of the net, and I'm like, really? And then they're gonna
always.
score. Then they're gonna score, and they're gonna count it and shit. Um, yeah. But like, what I thought was so funny is like when they did the challenge, and they all got on the ice, like how foggy that ice was, and I was like, there is no way this thing is like you're out on the lake, and like how foggy this is. Like I feel like they're trying to make it like a big statement thing or whatever, but
Yeah, it just made me think of going to Vipers games back in the day,
yeah,
and
they
they
got
would
the
do
fog
their like their
machines
intro
rolling
thing
out.
where they'd
Yeah.
skate through that inflatable snake head,
Yeah.
and they'd have like a smoke machine out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what
Weirdly,
what would even cause that much fog on the ice?
I don't know. And like, do they let in all the heat and or something? You know what I mean? Like, where I don't even know how that would even came in. like, oh, it's like early in the morning. I mean, but it was like they said it was at dawn or something. I think is that what he
Yeah.
said? Yeah, and
Hmm.
that's why they're like trying to make it seem like it's early in the morning. Um, but I thought it was funny then, like the coach like skates out and like breaks it all up. But I was like, how like he had time to put his skates on, or did he just happen to like just have them on and like hear it like as he was walking out or something, which is probably more the case, but
Right.
It's like, hey, you guys
Uh,
stop. Let me put on my skates, but you
can,
wait.
can
Hold
we
on.
talk how much of like a douche though the varsity coaches
oh
like
yeah,
aren't
for
the
sure.
JV and varsity coach supposed to be like probably like intertwined pretty well, and
Yeah.
like he's like it's just hockey, and he's like they're like just smashing guys into the boards and stuff, like
Yeah, all
Jermaine
these
gets hurt,
boarding
right?
and yeah,
Which it
roughing
doesn't
penalties.
that doesn't even make
And
sense
then at the end of
though.
the game, he's like, "Oh, we'll get you next year," and then like shakes his hand, and like it was like super friendly at the end. I was like, "What just happened?"
Yeah, that really doesn't make sense though when you think about it because the varsity coach is eventually going to get the JV
Yeah,
players.
he's gonna get all the JV guys.
Yeah, here he is trying to hurt everybody.
Yeah, they're going to just hate him.
Well, and it just came out of nowhere. Like he's all of a sudden like just a dick out of nowhere. It's not like he was like intertwined in earlier in the movie. He was
Yeah.
just came right in hot, like right off the bat.
Yeah, like he should have been one of the people that was voicing their opinion against the Mighty Ducks.
Right. Or I mean, yeah. And if he was like, they just didn't show it or whatever. But
Yeah, but then also the whole like scholarship
hmm
thing that they had with the
Yeah.
board was really dumb because what they played one game and they tied and
yeah,
then what they had
after
another
clean.
game and lost or something maybe or
Yeah.
and then
I
that
No,
don't
was
know.
it and they're just like, "Oh, we're going to revoke scholarships." That's
well, I don't even think
They
they
didn't even
lost. They
lose.
went, yeah. They went up 9-0, and then they let in 9 for god awful. Like apparently, like yeah, no
And
one can
there's
play
no
goal.
overtime.
No goalie can freaking play in this game in this freaking show. Because they're god awful. They obviously just wanted to show that they're only about scoring and they're not about defense. So then they let in 9 goals and it's tie game or whatever.
Yeah, and there's no
Um,
overtime.
yeah, there's no overtime. It's just but
There's an
the
overtime
next one
light on
was
the
like
scoreboard.
that's what I'm saying. Like the next one, they were getting on the bus to go to the game, and that's when like the dean came in and was like, "Just kidding. All your scholarships are gonna." So they left. They didn't even go to the game, right? They just went right to the board meeting.
Yeah, because then Gordon came in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like there was a huge gap of time of like they should have had a few more games to play. You know
Well,
what I
didn't
mean?
I feel like they didn't Hans listen to the radio for another game, the one that Charlie quit before?
Yeah,
No,
maybe.
no, I think that was the one where they scored 9 goals and then gave up 9 and tied.
No, I think he's right. I think there was like one right
Was there another
after.
one?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought there
that
was another one because it was like emphasis that
they like
like Charlie
snuck it in
wasn't
there.
there.
My question is why didn't they just show that game?
I don't know.
They would have in the second one.
It was
Right? Yeah, and
Uh,
even like a minute or two. Like it's not even like that much. I don't know if it was a budgetary thing or whatever, but I mean, they probably had to make up for the fact that they brought Paul Korea in into the announcing. They had to make up some of the budget just to have him in it or something. I don't know.
who knows? It could have been written in his contract.
Yeah. Oh,
You
it
have to
was.
be in a Disney movie.
Yeah. It honestly, well, because they even mentioned in there that like, they're named the NHL team after us.
Yeah. Oh
Charlie
man.
like boasted it that they had an NHL team after him.
After a Pee Wee team. So in that world,
Yeah.
in their world, that it's a Pee Wee hockey team in
Hmm.
Minnesota gets a team, an NHL team in Anaheim, California, named after them.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Yeah. Exactly.
In our world, it makes more sense because the movies are so popular.
Right.
And, Disney has what Disneyland there in California.
Yeah.
Uh, I got a hot take about the Coach Orion.
Yeah.
He's a better coach than Gordon Bombay
Yes. Yes.
because he actually teaches the kids things. It's not just like, oh, let's just run around and chase each other. Dwayne, you chase us with the lasso, and
Have
yeah,
fun.
let's
That's what
shoot
sports is
eggs.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, where
Come
he's like, no,
on.
we're gonna learn how to play defense.
Yeah, I know, and like don't commit to like the guy, like overcommit to the first move or whatever. Make them make the move, and then like play him, and which he like
Yeah,
checks him over his body instead, like on that last play. But yeah,
yeah,
no, I definitely had some
uh,
personal gripes with this movie for sure, being a goalie. But
yeah. So it's like
uh,
Charlie's like super arrogant. All of a sudden, Charlie's a good player too, by the way. And like
yeah,
the
I mean the
first
first
movie,
movie he
he
was
kind of
terrible,
sucked.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
he
and then
he
in the
he
second movie, like
he would always
he,
swing and miss, right, or something. He'd always choke at the last second, like he'd get that
yeah,
breakaway and then fucking fan on it.
yeah, and then in the second movie, like he lets Adam Banks take his spot on the roster, and they act like he's just gonna become like a coach.
Yeah.
And then in this third movie, all of a sudden he's like the best player.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
It's like they took elements of like because Jesse wasn't in this,
No.
and Jesse was one of the better players. So
Hmm.
it's like, oh, we just can combine him and Charlie. It's like we'll give Charlie kind of a snarky attitude
Yeah, right.
and make
Did
him good
they
at like a
did
lot better
they
player.
did they ever say did they scout Banks at all? Because they just moved him up to varsity or whatever, like
It
on
was
that
in that
list.
tryout thing.
Okay, is that what it
And then
was?
Coach
Yeah.
Orion, yeah, put him on varsity.
And that's when he officially made it so that Charlie wasn't
Oh,
a
that's right.
captain.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
TBD.
Yeah.
What's to bid?
Oh
Oh man,
man.
like this, and like Goldberg and Cat was like driving me nuts. Even the other goalies on the other team were like driving me nuts in this movie. Just like how they would like even skate backwards. Like even most of them were like so deep in the net already. Like they were at the
Yeah.
back of the net. There was like you're not even trying at this point. But like I think I remember seeing one. It drove me nuts. Was like some dude was on. I think they were on a breakaway, and he's like his stick's like up in the air, and he's like wiggling himself backwards. I was like, what is going on? I was like, that's how you're skating backwards. But I think the scene that drove me absolutely nuts was the rollerblade scene with Goldberg.
At the
How he
beginning.
was just that they could have cut that entire scene and
Oh yeah, it was
added in like
annoying
a
as
whole
hell.
game. Oh yeah, because I'm like, he's out of control going backwards for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
He goes like 4 miles.
Yeah, I'm like, what is? And then and then they jump off the bridge.
And
Yeah,
land.
like
And
Goldberg's
that's like
fat ass is
probably a
gonna jump off the
20
bridge like
foot
that.
drop and land just fine. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah. Like Goldberg's fat ass is gonna be able to jump over the railing of that bridge.
Like, I know it's supposed to be a kid movie, it's supposed to be exaggerated, but I was like, what just happened? Like he's like spraying Charlie with the hose and he's getting chased by a pit bull but he's somehow
Uh,
skating backwards fine in that, but he
yeah,
can't freaking do it with his pants on.
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I was feeling that
Oh, it's so
this was
funny.
definitely, I mean, I'm not remembering the other two perfectly in all the scenes and everything, but I feel like this one was definitely super kid driven.
yeah,
Like,
for
oh,
sure.
let's make things funny, let's do pranks, let's do this, let's like try to
Yeah,
add all this.
they're trying to pander a little bit to the more teen demographic, I think a little bit more with this one. Because they even
Yeah,
had
like
that scene.
preteen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well they even
preteen.
had that scene like that scene that Luis was like under the table of like all of the girls and like
Yeah, then he looks
walking
at the
and
girl
then
up
he
the girl's
looks at the
skirt.
camera.
I was like, wow,
It
that aged
basically might as well
horribly.
have just like he basically like winked to the camera, right? So
Yeah.
but he's like, oh, what's going on here?
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of Luis, like all of a sudden he can't stop again.
Yeah, I thought he learned to stop
He
and
did.
now
He
he's
learned to
like
stop in the
jumping
second one because
over.
Jan taught
Yeah.
him how to do it. He
Yeah, he's
stacked
like
up all the
jumping
cans.
over it. Oh, Jesus.
When they had that one in that game where he snowed that goalie with like a
I
tidal wave
stopped.
of ice.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
stopped.
Yeah.
And he steals that varsity dude's girl. That was so funny.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he sold all the relationship stuff in this was dumb. Like there was the one varsity player that liked the girl, whatever,
Oh,
Connie
do you know who
or
that
whatever.
guy is, by the way?
Which one?
The goalie
Yes.
on the varsity team
No.
is Gunnar Stahl from Team Iceland in
Oh,
the
is
second
it?
one. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I was gonna say I
Oh
recognize
shit,
him.
it is.
So,
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture. It is him.
Mm-hmm.
but
That's so
yes,
funny.
so that was dumb. That was kind of unnecessary. And then Charlie's little fling thing was stupid.
Yeah.
But then Louise picking up the varsity player's girl was also
Hmm.
dumb. It just, I don't. It just was. All of them were dumb in my opinion, and it could have saved time as
I mean,
well.
they're very I don't
Forced.
well, yeah, but it's all it felt like it was pulling from a bunch of different movies of like and then just mashing it all in together into like those kind of like cliches, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's 90. I mean, I don't know what I expect, but
The other movie's more focused on Connie and Guy
oh yeah, yeah, right, yeah.
being an item,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
But they made it
they just
fun
try to
though, I
like
guess, but
hook
like
everybody
not.
up with someone. One thing
Yeah,
I
I'm like,
did
okay.
like was that so Goldberg's like a complete and utter liability at goalie,
Yeah.
but he's a really good defenseman.
I mean, sure, sure he is. It was nice to see him like hitting people though and like checking out there and then
Yeah,
but it's I love how they do these in movies where like there's like 2 seconds left and it gets past to Goldberg and then obviously he like shoots it
takes
in but
30
there's like
seconds.
a 30-second gap in there. Oh no, I gotta shoot it. What? And he's like freaking out as it like gets to him.
Yeah, and everybody's like, shoot, Goldberg, shoot.
Like obviously they're trying to make it like, oh, he's not selfish and or like Conway's not selfish and stuff, and he passed it. And I mean, it
Uh,
wasn't like I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. It's like an unlikely hero thing, at least with Goldberg, like
yeah, I forgot
earned
about
his
that.
spot. I mean, like Connie is definitely the better, or Kat is like definitely the better goalie
Yeah.
by far.
Well, she
But
was in the
like,
second one too, and then like, oh,
but
and
now
she
she's
has to
like, she was
play,
great in
and
that
Gordon's like, well, we got to
practice.
stick with Goldberg. He's the hot hand. I'm like, Goldberg lets him like 4 goals a game.
Yeah, and then to see him like get trapped behind the net and
Yeah,
like
he's way
fall,
out of position all the time.
they just banked it in. He's like, no, no. It's like, dude, what are you doing? They told me he has the better, like he's like, I have the better stick and stuff, and they're like, yeah, you do, and I'm like, no, you don't. You're freaking terrible. But yeah, the to watch her like be bad was weird. I don't know. I didn't like it. Like they
Yeah,
were like pelting her with shots though, like quite a bit. But they were showing it like at they didn't play defense obviously, but they made it seem like just ridiculous that
yeah. Well, Charlie, I mean, gets all butt hurt that he has to play defense.
I'm gonna
I
play
was like, who does
two-way
he? He's like,
hockey,
who is he?
coach.
Like
Now
Mario Lemieux?
I know I'm gonna play two-way hockey now.
I just want to
Oh,
hang
okay.
around the blue line and wait for a pass.
Well, like I didn't think they never not played defense, but it's just like now they're just like blocking shots and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. Uh, other weird things with this movie. Did you
Yeah.
notice that Fulton's jersey just said Fulton on the back of it? He has a
Oh
last name.
yeah,
His name is Reed.
yeah. I think I remember that being a thing.
Like everybody else had their last name on there except for Fulton.
Yeah.
And I like how oh man, the other Bash brother,
uh, uh, dang it,
Portman.
Portman. There
Portman,
we go.
yeah. Like all of a sudden just comes back
Yeah,
after
Bombay got him
second
back,
intermission.
right? Yeah, Bombay got him back because he
Like
went over there.
is that even that's another hockey rule there. I'm pretty sure you can't just dress up a guy after second intermission and bring him in.
Well, hey, no, no, no. That is perfectly legal because if there's anything that the Replacements movie taught me with Keanu Reeves is that if it's in between periods or anything, you can put somebody in the game.
You just come to one of my drop-in games and you'll see guys like show up in like the third period sometimes because they were late or whatever and they're like getting on the ice. We've had like dropping guy, yeah, try to get on and the refs like, no, absolutely not. Like not in a close game. You're not getting on now because it's just gonna be too lopsided or whatever.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, no, it's well, and then like Bolt or Portman like hits that dude like through the glass and just
Yeah.
like completely shatters it.
But
And
the back of the
somehow,
guy's head hits the glass and shatters
yeah.
it,
Oh yeah, the dude like has a full concussion or whatever. But
or he's
like
dead.
basically, but then it was so funny that he like they put him in the bench or they put him in the penalty box, right? And then he does that like strip routine and like I'm I remembered this and like from a little bit earlier when they were talking, they're 14.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Oh, all the girls are going nuts," and like it's a bunch of old ladies up in the stands, and I'm like, "Dude, this kid's 14. One, he's
Charlie's mom is
14
cheering.
and like ripped or whatever." But then like, yeah, all the girls are going fucking nuts. And I'm like,
I mean, let's be
"Dude,
real.
he's way too young for you
Let's
guys."
be
And
real.
then,
Portman's probably like 25.
oh yeah, no, for sure. But like, and then all of a sudden, like the next scene, he has his full gear back on. I was like, "Wait, didn't he throw half of it in the stands? Like,
They threw it back.
when did he get his gear back?"
He's like, "Oh crap, this is only a 2-minute penalty."
Yeah, I know. I was like,
Better
yeah, it
get
was a
back
two
out
minute
there.
penalty. And he's like, screw this, and throws
Uh,
off all of his stuff.
and I like
'Cause
how
he's,
Coach Orion's just cool with all this garbage. Like, he's just fine with it. But earlier in the movie, he was a stickler.
yeah, but he's changed. He
Uh,
understands the Ducks.
he's seen the way of Gordon
By the way,
Bombay.
the whole like, I know I keep like changing too, but like even after they win and like the Eden Hall banner comes down to change to the Ducks, I'm like, did they like? I know that they were like Charlie's new girl he likes or whatever was like trying to get the name changed to the Duck
Yeah.
or like
And
to a
they made
different
that bet
something
with
different.
varsity.
Yeah, and like, but all of a sudden, oh, now it's just changed because the hockey team they not have any other sports there at Eden Hall. Then like,
They had
Yeah.
horseback riding.
yeah, they have
The
horseback
football team's
riding.
just like, what the hell?
What do you mean you just changed everything on us? Dude, those
Right?
Indian heads were so funny. So like the headdresses they did and everything for that. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, no wonder they wanted to change it. Like it's not like, oh, it's cool, it's a warrior, like non-dish, but it's like no, it's like a full Indian headdress warrior. I'm like, oh jeez.
They could have just had the Ultimate Warrior as their logo.
Right. Oh man.
Oh man. Um, yeah, I was even as a kid, like I saw this in a theater when I was a kid, and even
I
like
didn't.
groaned and rolled my eyes when they changed the name of the school to the Ducks.
Yeah, I mean, you knew it was coming, but at the same time, like I don't,
Was the
whatever.
school board on board for that?
Yeah, right. I
It
know.
was
Well,
just the
they're like
varsity
sitting
team and
there, and they're just like, oh,
Ducks. Yeah.
okay, now we're ducks. The dean's like, okay, sure. Well, that old Bombay.
He's like, I
And
love
they
it.
were
Just
just like
don't lose a
laughing.
game or I'm gonna revoke your scholarships.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of shitty that they were just like gonna revoke all of them because they played two
Yeah.
games. Well, we can't lose at all. I'm like, this is um what is that? The USA hockey team all over again.
Oh yeah, when they come
I
out in the
forget
third
the
period
name
wearing
of
the
it.
Ducks
Yeah.
jerseys.
Like, oh, you guys can't. Well, no, I mean like they're just like, oh, you guys can't lose. Like, otherwise you'll lose your scholarships and you'll lose your all your press and stuff that you guys are getting and money and sponsorship, whatever. From that USA hockey team from number two. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like this one as much for sure. But I mean,
Yeah.
there's some saving graces in it, but this Palkry is like one of the
I
only
I
ones.
think this series is a good example of diminishing returns.
Oh yeah.
Or like the first one
Yeah,
is a classic movie, like a classic kids sports movie. It might be the best kids sports movie. And then the second one, like it has some good elements in it, but it's getting a little cheesy. And then the
hmm
third one just goes over the top with it.
yeah, and it doesn't feel like they're trying to. It just does.
Yeah.
I think with the change in tone and stuff too, because at least with the second one, it's still fun. It's a cool tournament and like they definitely put a lot of money into the second one compared to the first one because of all
Yeah,
the
and then they
the
added like a bunch
the
of new players and
cameos and
everything.
stuff. Wayne Gretzky and all these guys show up, but yeah, they felt like they were trying to
And
force something in this one that they didn't.
so they had two movies with Luis Mendoza in it, and the dude barely has any lines.
Yeah,
And he was in The Sandlot as, Benny Rodriguez, who's
mm-hmm.
like
The good
the
actor.
coolest. like the coolest kid ever.
Yeah.
But then like in the Mighty Ducks movies, he doesn't get any lines.
Same with like Jermaine and stuff too. He like gets hurt, and like I feel like they could have did a lot more with him, and
Yeah.
um
Yeah, missed opportunity, I think, with that actor.
Mhm.
Um, anything else, or should I get into trivia and facts?
I mean, you can get the trivia and facts. I think probably if there's anything we can think of.
Let's do it.
So, Michael Cudlitz, who plays Cole on the varsity team, is only 2 years younger than Emilio Estevez.
At the time, well, I
Yeah,
mean, obviously, but like, yeah,
yeah.
that's wild.
So
That's
he
hilarious.
is actually older than most of the Mighty Ducks in the movie by 12 to 15 years.
Was that the captain for the?
No, he was the big
The
bruiser
goon guy,
guy.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, the enforcer, yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
curly-headed blonde guy.
he was the guy that you'll
Not the
also
same guy.
recognize was The Walking Dead,
Oh
Abraham.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna say Biff from Back to the Future because it looks like
Yeah.
he's like his like son.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
I read somewhere that that character was loosely based on Biff from Back to the
had to
Future.
have been, yeah, because
Yeah.
he just, I mean, it's so similar.
Hmm.
Uh, so the dorm used by the varsity is the same dorm that was used in the movie Dead Poet Society.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. Claudia Wilkins, who played the principal in the first Mighty Ducks, has a cameo as a teacher who gives multiple tests per week.
Oh yeah, that is her.
Yeah, I thought I'd recognize her. So in later interviews, Joshua Jackson admitted that um to having little to no interest in doing another Mighty Ducks movie
Hmm.
and that he was ready to move on to more adult roles. He said he used a lot of the attitude that he had in his portrayal of Charlie in this movie. Um, he said the script calls for Charlie to be more rebellious and moody, so he channeled his feelings at the time of doing another Mighty Ducks movie into the role.
That's
Uh,
funny.
so this is Mike Vitar, who is Luis Mendoza. It was his last movie. He
Hmm.
retired.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So despite being given top billing, Emilio Estevez only appears as Gordon at the beginning, during the middle scene with Charlie, and towards the end of the film. Altogether, he has less than 20 minutes of screen time. He was busy filming The War at Home, and he wasn't able to devote much time to this movie, hence the smaller role than the past two films. He agreed to a smaller role in the film for free in exchange for Disney helping fund The War at Home,
Hmm.
which I never heard of, so that must have did well.
That usually goes really well when they do that.
All right. In one scene, Charlie says he is allergic to nuts. This is a reference to Joshua Jackson actually being allergic to nuts.
Okay. Hmm.
Despite being a prominent character in all three movies, Averman only scores one goal in the entire trilogy.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Same as
So,
Goldberg.
out of all three Mighty Ducks films, this one contains the least amount of hockey playing. That was obvious. The Ducks are only shown playing 3 times. Hans listens to them play off screen once over the radio in the scene where he and Charlie have an argument.
Hmm.
The first being the Blake Bears, and then twice against the varsity.
Did you notice when they played against the Blake Bears, the goalie was wearing a like a Cujo mask?
Yeah, I
No, I
did see
didn't notice
that.
that.
Yeah, it's a Cujo mask.
Nice. So in D2, you hear that Adam Banks is actually the captain of the team, but in D3, they say Charlie has been the team's captain since they were District 5.
Hmm.
According to some reports, Brandon Quinton Adams, who played Jesse in the first two movies, did not get along with Keenan Thompson while filming the second movie, which could explain why he did not return for the third film,
Hmm.
despite being one of the original and more popular Ducks.
Hmm.
So the Eden Hall head varsity coach was he played a referee in the first two movies.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now that I think about it, yeah, I can picture him. And the last thing, I couldn't find anywhere what the budget was for this movie, but it made 22.9 in the box office.
Hmm. Okay.
And then IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Caleb, you want to guess IMDb, and then Jason, you can guess the Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man, IMDb. Let's do 5.1.
It is a 5.5.
Oh, hey, look at that. I was close. And then so Jason, the Rotten
Hmm.
Tomato critic and audience.
Yeah.
Um.
It goes from 0 to 100%.
Yeah. This like critic was like 49 and audience was like 30.
It's 20 and 45.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, a 20.
A little different.
Oh
Yeah.
man. And then our grades. Jason, you're the guest, so I'll let you go first.
What are we grading out of?
Out of 5.
Out of 5?
And you can do half points.
Yeah, yeah.
You can also go negative if you want. No, I'm just kidding.
I might. I might. Um, I don't know. I'd probably honestly give it like a 2. I mean, it's a rough watch. I wasn't enjoying watching it. I mean, like there's some moments, like I said, but it just wasn't fun to watch. It's just very super cringe, and that's not like a nostalgia cringe. It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not as good as the first two movies.
Mm-mm.
Like I said, the first one is by far the best. Um, and this was my least watched out of the three, and I used to watch these
Yeah.
movies all the time as a kid, and I remember being
Mm-hmm.
kind of disappointed with this one when I saw it in the theater. Um, this time around, I did enjoy it a little bit better than what I
Sure.
have in the past, but yeah, I ended up falling on a 3 out of 5. Like it's still not great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I actually felt like it was a chore to watch this movie.
I
Um
could see that.
to be honest, because it was just like, man, I do not remember this being such a drag when I was a kid. Now, of course, like when you're a kid, you're more easily entertained by stuff.
Yeah.
And also, I wasn't sitting there kind of critiquing the movie and everything. But we already explained, it's the effect of a lot of trilogies and, kind of money grabbing, trying to get more out of the franchise and whatnot. But it just was a flop. And something that will kind of help me, or in my opinion, helps a movie kind of rebound and have a better score is rewatchability.
Mhm.
But this one just like
It's
no, like
hard.
even as a kid, I don't remember watching it very often. I watched it more than once, but not very often. So yeah, I'm gonna be more on Jason's end of things. I landed at a 2 as well. I was contemplating going to 1.5, but I mean, you're starting to get into terrible spots there. I mean, this is at least still a comprehensible film. Like there's a plot, even how messed up it is, and like there is quote unquote development through the movie, but just mediocre at best. So
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Well, like for me, you would think after 2 movies, like they, I mean, at least for the goaltending, it got worse in the third movie. Like, how did it get worse?
Yeah, what even Julie kind of sucks.
Yeah, and like you said, like with Luis and stuff too, I'm like these, like some players got better and like just overall were like fine, but some just were just terrible. Like, how did you guys get worse as you went along? Like that's why I think it's funny when the coach was like, talking to Goldberg. He's like, "Did you practice at all?
Yeah, that's a that's like this coach is better to go than
Like,
Bombay
what are you
because he realized
doing?
that Goldberg is complete ass.
Like garbage, man." Like he's so far in the net and he's like not even like barely moving and he's like letting in every single goal. And like if they're playing like an old school like stand up style,
Yeah.
just still weird for the time because like I wasn't playing that kind of style at that age, like
No.
in that time period. Like they should be going down somewhat and making like hybrid. It's like a hybrid style now, but or then like
Yeah.
there's
I mean,
no reason they should be
you had
playing the
guys
way
like
they're playing.
Hasek and
Yeah, oh yeah.
Felix Potvin and stuff that more butterfly style, but
Hmm.
yeah.
Which I would at that age they should be doing. Like I don't know. Like I feel like where's the rest of the coaches? Like they only have one coach. There's no goalie coach. I mean, it's a high school
There's
team.
no
Like yeah,
assistant
there's no
coach.
assistant coach. There's no high school coach. There's or goalie coach. There's no.
Even Gordon had an assistant coach in the first
I
movie.
yeah. What his driver?
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah,
His
it's
driver
just
who may have may not known anything about hockey. But yeah, I don't think they're really going for sports realism in this movie.
no, and like I was thinking about this too. Is like because I know they do a cameo in like each movie from like the original or the director or whatever, like the guy that thought up the movie, right?
Yeah.
Because he's in the third one too. Is like when uh Conway and Fulton play hooky or whatever, he's like giving them the tree, like, "Oh, you guys are playing hooky, huh? I used to do that all the time."
Oh,
And
the
like that,
Carney.
yeah, yeah, that's him, right? That's the guy that made the movies.
Oh yeah.
And he also was like in D2 or whatever, he was chatting up Bombay about a business opportunity or
Oh
something at the
yeah.
time. Yeah. But no, I just thought it was funny how they inserted. And then they're like puking in trash cans and stuff because they like overdid it. It's
Oh
ridiculous,
man.
man.
Yeah, I will say next time we're gonna have a better movie and we're gonna be talking about Major League, which is a all-time
Man, I
classic.
get to miss the good ones.
Well, I mean, feel free to join us.
No, I know.
Oh yeah. But I thought it
Dude,
was only right that you had to finish the trilogy with
no,
us.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I still gotta watch the like the TV series and stuff.
I watched it. It was all right. And then
Yeah,
they had like a second season, and like Emilio
I was talking
got
about the anime.
fired
I was talking about the
from
animated
Disney
series.
for some political thing. I don't know what it was,
Oh,
but
really? No, I didn't hear
yeah,
about that. Yeah, because I thought they brought him in to make that like a more legitimate show.
yeah, he was in the first season. The first season's pretty decent.
And well, if you do that, you gotta do the animated series too.
I forgot
Space
about that.
Ducks. Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, and Tim Curry's in it and everything.
I forgot
As
about
like the
that.
bad guy. But something I was thinking about too was like um one of the moments where like Charlie was talking to Fulton, like when they both like right before Fulton decides to like go back or whatever.
Hmm.
And it made me laugh because he told Fulton, he's like, "Hey, you ever thought about shooting into the alley instead of out of the alley with his slap shots?" He's like shooting into the street and like hitting people. He's like,
Yeah, it's
"Oh
like
no, I never thought about that." I'm like, Jesus, dude, come on. I was laughing
uh,
about it. I was like, yeah, he's just shooting at people and like hitting cars and breaking windows. And he's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. You ever thought about just turning around and shooting into that giant brick wall that's behind it?
nah, not at all. Oh man, yeah. So next week will be a better movie for sure.
I'm
Um,
sure you guys will enjoy that.
yeah, if you guys are liking the show, subscribe and share. Follow us on social media. We're on pretty much every platform. Check out YouTube. I'm putting up a whole bunch of like older episodes lately.
Hey,
So we're pretty much scheduled out until October on that. And come by next time. We're going to be talking about Major League. And until then, as always, be kind and rewind.